Hello and welcome to day 5, session 5 of the 2022 Women's History Month Summit. This summit featured 10 dynamic speakers over a 5-day period. You're here for session 5, day 5, the finale, and we are so excited to have you here. I am Sharvette Mitchell, the host of this amazing summit. I'm a marketing coach and consultant, and I work with high-achieving women entrepreneurs and a few lucky men to enable them to position their expertise with a polished visual brand, increase visibility with speaking opportunities, build authority as a published author, and convert more customers with social media, content, and content marketing. And I do this with my Platform Builder program, one-on-one consulting, and events. And guess what? We're going to get started with session 5, day 5 of the 2022 Women's History Month Summit in exactly 60 seconds. All right. Welcome to day 5, session 5. OMG. Listen, in honor of Women's History Month, I decided to create this amazing virtual summit. And it's been complimentary for the last 5 days. We have heard from leaders and entrepreneurs. We've heard about business topics, self-development topics. Listen, we even had revival last night almost. So it has been a mixture of things, and we are so excited that you are here joining us. Listen, closing out the season finale, the series finale, we have Kathy Staten. She's hanging out in the green room. She's coming up to the mic. Her topic is Address Your Distress, learning to recognize and overcome past traumas to excel and win. And listen, followed up right behind her, closing out the whole shebang, is Natalie Bryan, and her topic is Grace Under Fire. Let me greet a few people that are here hanging out. Listen, Lisa Williams is saying, let's go. Shout out to my sister Kim holding it down over on YouTube. You look fabulous. Thank you, doll. Thank you. Dr. Daya said, excited for day 5. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you for being here. Over on YouTube, welcome. Over on Dr. V, thank you for being here from LinkedIn. Thank you. Listen, I thank you for all of the loves. It is, the ending day, so I thought I'd put on my holy convocation suit. Some of y'all will get that. Shout out to my mom, Betty. Thank you for being here as always, and all of the rest of you that are coming on in. So if you're saying, you know what, Sharvette, I didn't even know this was going on. This whole entire week has been amazing. Let me just tell you what you'll be able to binge watch if you missed any of the sessions. We opened up on Monday, session 1 with Erica. And I'm telling you, Erica Brooks took it down, threw it out the park. She talked about, I am not your superwoman, taking care of self in the midst of it all. Followed right up behind her, we had Yolanda Gray, who talks about, why can't I get motivated? How to keep moving forward when I don't feel like it. Listen, day 2, off and running, we had Tanya Sloan. She talked about, are you a member of a girl group? The importance of having healthy sister circles along the journey to career success as an employee or entrepreneur. Then listen, Dr. Tamara Diaz, came right up behind that, affirming your authority, how to own your expertise as an entrepreneur. Listen, day 3, we kept it moving. We kept it moving with session 3 that featured Vinzana Lasaith, and she talked about building a 6-figure business using technology you already have. And then Penny McPherson, plant-based Penny, known in these internet streets, talked about transforming from sick and stressed to wellness success. Last night, session 4, we had Michelle Wilson kick it off, talking about face your biggest competitor in the mirror. And then Valerie Harris talked about stepping up and stepping out. And we are here for session 5, day 5. So, listen, if you've been here the whole entire summit, I want you to put a 5 in the comments. You're here now and you've either watched the whole summit or you replayed and you're caught up. I want you to put a 5. If it's been 4 days, I want you to put a 4. If it's been 3 days of the summit, I want you to put a 3. If it's been 2, I want you to put a 2. And if you're just showing up today like Sharvette, girl, my whole week been crazy. This is the first time I've had an opportunity to sit down and catch y'all. That's fine. We want to show you love. Put a 1 in the comments. Well, listen, shout out to the 5s. Lisa, welcome. Shout out to the 5s. Dr. Diaz, shout out, shout out. Listen, I want to shout out some more people. Thank you. Yolanda Scott, Pastor, thank you for being here. Gotta get the replays. Listen, one of the easiest ways to check out the replays is to jump over to my YouTube channel. And there are those of you that are already hanging out there, youtube.com/Sharvette. There's a whole playlist and you can just Netflix and chill. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel and get the notifications. All right. Wonderful. I see the numbers still coming in. We want to shout you out, Brenda. Thank you for sharing 2 days with us. Listen, Michelle, this is your first day. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My mother, Betty, of course, 5 days. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and welcome. All right, you all are here. Continue chatting, continue commenting. We want to feature your comments on the screen. We are ready for our first guest to come up. I'm super excited to have Kathy Staten joining us. She's coming up live right now, live on the stage. Hello, Kathy.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We see you.
Woo.
You look beautiful. How are you today?
Girl, we're going to get this done.
Listen. I got to tell you.
Listen.
In my hot little hands, I have your hot off the press book now. Some of our other speakers have had books, but literally, like, what's the official release date?
Well,
or it's coming in April, really?
Okay, so they're going to be going out in the mail for those who have done their pre-sales. They'll be going out in the mail the week of the 20th of March.
All right.
And then I am doing both a virtual and an in-person launch/book conference in April. Right. So I'll be getting information out about that. And so, yes, I'm excited to finally have the books in my hot little hands and able to distribute them. And thank you. If you have already gotten your copy, if you haven't, you can still get one. Yeah, the books are ready to go out. Right. So thank you for that, Sharvette.
You're welcome. So tell our viewers and our summit participants a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my name is Kathy Staten, and I promote trauma consciousness. You may be aware of the adverse childhood experiences study that was done in the late 90s. Well, it wasn't until about 12 years later until I found out about it. And it struck me so because I have been working in human services all of my life, providing services and serving the citizens of Illinois, which was my pleasure to do so. And when I found out about it, all the little light bulbs came on, and I really realized that many of the things that hold us back, we cannot see, we cannot touch. They are certainly not tangible. Yeah. And so I began this quest to learn more and to self-educate myself, and it brought me to this point to wanting to share this type of information with others. And my goal is for people who have experienced early adversity and trauma in their lives, usually in the home environment, for you to live, heal, and have a dynamic life because you can. And so that's who I am. And Sharvette got me here. I can't let her down because she got on her convocation suit, and we got to listen. If we don't do it tonight, we got to do it because she brought out all of the everything for tonight. So,
listen, we
so
brought it out. We
we
brought it
ready to
out
go.
tonight. All right, Lady Kathy, we are excited and honored to hear what you have to share and pour into us. And I am exiting stage left and bringing you full screen.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the last night of the Women's History Month Summit. And my topic is address your distress, learning to recognize and overcome past traumas to excel and win. Now, let me talk about first of all what type of distress or pain that I'm talking about. It can affect the body or it can affect the mind. When we are prone to dismiss our distress, we trade temporary comfort for long-term peace and tranquility. Let me talk about the pain that I'm speaking of, because there are many forms of pain. I'm speaking of the pain of adversity experienced early in life, when at a time when our brains and our bodies are still developing. And like I spoke of in my introduction, the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study, ACEs, that I will refer to it from now on as ACEs, and that's capital A, capital C, capital E, capital S. You may be aware of this landmark study. It was done by the CDC and Kaiser Permanente. And the study describes how abuse, neglect, and household dysfunction experienced early in life can negatively impact health and well-being throughout the lifespan. Let me give you a few numbers. Out of 100 people, 33% report zero ACEs. They report they had no adversity. They report no abuse or neglect or household dysfunction. While 51% report 1 to 3 ACEs, and 16% report 4 to 10 ACEs or adverse childhood experiences. The tenets of trauma-informed care and trauma-informed responsiveness recognize and respond to symptoms of early trauma, to provide support for those who have experienced ACEs and toxic stress. If you want to know more about the study, thank God we are in the information age. Guess what you can do? You can Google it. Also, I have a 20-minute video. If you go to my YouTube channel, Flourish and Grow, you want to look at the introduction video, and I will give you a snapshot in 20 minutes of what the research is about and some other current things that have happened since then. Let me say this, even though my background is in counseling, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not giving any type of clinical advice or information. I am sharing information. And my real goal is to start conversations, starting conversations about stuff people really don't want to talk about. Like I said, we don't want to address our distress. But I'm encouraging you tonight. The first thing that you want to do in order to address your distress is to be defenseless. Defenseless? Really? You really want me to be defenseless? Is one of the ways we can begin to address our distress. Don't you mean be defensible, defend myself? No, be defenseless. Okay. I don't mean to defend yourself. I mean to be defenseless. Maybe an uncomfortable position to be in. I would like to share with you some lyrics of a song from one of my favorite artists. You may know him. His name is Kirk Franklin. In the song, Let It Go, he wrote these words. My mama gave me up when I was 4 years old. She didn't destroy my body, but she killed my soul. Now it's cold because I'm sleeping in my back seat. Understand the spirit's willing, but my flesh is weak. Let me speak. I never had a chance to dream. 10 years old and finding love in dirty magazines. Miss December, you remember? I bought you twice. Now I'm 30 plus and still paying the price. Had a sister that I barely knew. Kind of got separated by the age of 2. Same mama, different daddy, so we couldn't fake it. I saw my sister's daddy beat her in a tub naked. Sex was how I made it through. Without someone to teach you love, what else is there to do? See where I'm from, they call you gay, say you ain't a man. Show them you ain't no punk. Get all the girls you can. Even tried to tell the pastor, but he couldn't see. Years of low self-esteem and insecurities. Church taught me how to shout and how to speak in tongues, but teacher, teach me how to live now when the tongues is done. His ability to be defenseless and use that vulnerability to share it with us, to help us heal, thrive, and be dynamic is the reason that he is one of my favorite artists. One of the ways he has been blessed to deal with his distress is through his music and his ability to be defenseless, to be vulnerable through therapy and self-discovery. Well, what about us? Are we willing to be defenseless, be vulnerable, exposed, open, unprotected? What? Not me. Have you ever seen couples answer questions about how their relationship began? The question, who said I love you first, is almost always one of the questions on the list. Why? Because in the context of a romantic relationship, that can be one of the most sensitive things to admit. What if the other person doesn't feel the same way I do? Or they're not ready to say that out loud just yet. Now my emotions are exposed and open and unprotected. That's what it means to be vulnerable. Before we can be vulnerable or defenseless with someone else, we must be defenseless with ourselves. Can we be honest? Even with ourselves? It's not easy as it may sound. Can I admit that I pretend to be happy? Or do we care more about the perception of others over truly having our own peace? Be defenseless with yourself. Can you ask yourselves these questions and can you answer with complete honesty? What is the mistake that I have made that I find the most difficult to accept? What is the hurt experienced that is the most difficult to accept? When blank happened, I just tried to move on and forget that it ever happened. Can I have an open and honest conversation about this? Try sometimes just being defenseless with your own self. Maybe you can, no problem. Maybe you can do that. You're defenseless and you're vulnerable with yourself, with other people, and with God. I commend you. I congratulate you. Keep on doing that. Thank you for being an example for us to do the same. Just a note about being defenseless. Make sure when you're being defenseless with others that you have chosen the right individuals to be defenseless with. Thankfully, we are becoming more and more comfortable about discussing the stigma around accessing safe therapeutic spaces to become vulnerable and let our defenses down. So that's the first thing. Tonight, we're talking about address your distress. Be defenseless. Be defenseless. Secondly, the second thing is decide to despair. Nobody wants to be in despair. Is that right? But sometimes we have to decide to be in despair. Once you have become defenseless and you're vulnerable and you're open and you're honest with yourself, you're open and you're honest with others. This quote by a pastor in Chicago, his name is Phil Jackson, and he pastors the House Covenant Church in Chicago. He has a quote that I want to give you tonight. And it says, when you don't love all of who you are, the parts you don't love will lead a revolt. When you don't love all of who you are, the parts you don't love will lead a revolt. Let me tell you how this applies. I want to paint this picture for you. I hope you can imagine this. If you want to imagine this, you're probably tired of looking at me anyway. So go ahead and close your eyes. And I can't close my eyes because I have to look at my paper, but close your eyes and imagine entering a room where a great banquet has been prepared. The table is set with fine linens, the best silver and dining ware. Candles are lit, and the fragrance of fresh flowers fills the air. Do you have that picture in your mind? Just let that soak in. And the best thing about it is that someone else did all of the cooking, but I digress. As you take your seat, everything you love and acknowledge about yourself is allowed to take a seat with you. You offer good relationships a seat, all your positive qualities a seat, talents and God-given gifts, they have their seat. They're all welcome to sit at the table. But there are others in the room, and they're waiting for a chance to be acknowledged and offered a seat. They're standing around the walls of the banquet hall. You don't acknowledge them. As a matter of fact, you're not even conscious that they're there. Disappointments, abuse, mistreatment, failures. Everything at the banquet is going as planned, and the banquet is all that you hoped that it would be. Until one of them decides, instead of taking a seat, they will take center stage. And something you never thought would happen has. You had not meant to get that upset or to make a scene, but something triggered you. For someone with a history of trauma, it's not just something that rubs them the wrong way. It's as though they are experiencing the trauma all over again. A trigger can be internal, a memory, a physical sensation, or an emotion. A trigger can be external, a location, a significant date, a movie, or interacting with a person connected to an experience. More and more, we are becoming comfortable talking about experiences that trigger us, and that's a good thing. This refers to experiencing an emotional reaction to something disturbing. And you could feel angry, overwhelmed, abandoned, sad. This is where acknowledging your despair comes in. Sometimes we avoid people, places, and situations that we know will trigger us, but that may or may not always be reasonable. Learning to cope with triggers, which is often aided by therapy, requires emotional processing. But in that moment, at the banquet, there was no time to be rational. And all those things you allowed to sit down and have a seat at the banquet, your good relationships, positive qualities, talents, and God-given gifts, they all look at you and say, we will never excel and win and be as dynamic as we can be unless you acknowledge them and let them sit down too. To acknowledge is just that. And to understand that today is not held hostage by yesterday. I can choose my path to see and understand myself differently in light of the traumas of the past. Finally, we're talking about addressing our distress. See yourself and understand yourself differently in light of the traumas of the past. To see yourself differently. I want to use one more of Mr. Franklin's songs. And the name of this song is Imagine Me. Imagine me loving what I see when the mirror looks at me, because I imagine me in a place of no insecurities, and I'm finally happy because I imagine me letting go of all the ones who hurt me because they never did deserve me. Can you imagine me? Saying no to thoughts that try to control me, remembering all you told me. Lord, can you imagine me? Over what my mama said and healed from what my daddy did. And I want to live and not read that page again. Then he says, this song is dedicated to people like me, those that struggle with insecurities, acceptance, and even self-esteem. You never felt good enough. You never felt pretty enough. But imagine God whispering in your ear, letting you know that everything that has happened is now gone. Gone. It's gone. All gone. Seeing yourself differently is the last way we can address our distress. We don't have the power to change the past, but we do have the power to change what we tell ourselves about ourselves. Yes, it may be true that your past has been traumatic. You've had painful experiences. It's difficult to confront that. But what are you telling yourself? Are you convinced that you're not good enough and unworthy? Are the things you tell yourself about yourself true? If you're telling yourself that whatever trauma you have experienced early on in life is your fault, that is untrue. But here are some things that are true. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. It's true that you should not be afraid, timid, or discouraged, because every time you take a step, God is there. This is true. God will give you strength. He is able to lift you up higher than you ever imagined. Trust his word and submit, and you will get a second wind. What God has started in you, he will finish. That's true. God will give you the strength you need just at the time you need it. You were not in charge early on when you experienced these things. But those who were responsible for you are to be held accountable for that. But now you are in charge of you, to fight for you. In therapy, groups, self-development and discovery, boundary and goal setting, you are in charge now to fight for you. All of these things will help you to heal, thrive, excel, and win, and be dynamic. And all of this is true. All of this is true. So I hope that you will use some of these things to address your distress. I am a proponent of being conscious of the trauma and not sweeping the trauma under the rug. I do have a new book that Sharvette spoke of earlier, and I believe she's dropping it in the chat. So if you would like to get a copy of the book, you can do that. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram if you want to learn more. And you can also go to the YouTube channel Flourish and Grow if you want to see the introduction video about the ACEs study. So that's all I have.
Listen, powerful, so powerful. What you did not mention early on is that I'm going to mention is that you were first lady for 40 years. Your husband pastored for 40 years. And so those of you that are here, you are hearing that wisdom and all, and I'm going to attribute some of that to that. You're hearing that wisdom coming through. Thank you. Certainly not per se a sexy topic that people want to have, but you delivered that so profoundly. I know that this is a session that we'll go back and need to listen to again and need to take in again. Thank you so much again. We have on the screen where you can grab her latest book, where you can grab it. You can grab it right here, Descendants of Dysfunction book. And Kathy, thank you for being here. Hang out with us in the virtual green room. So you got some love coming in. Paula is listen, claps. Lisa is clapping it up. My mother is clapping it up, saying powerful, powerful. So hang out with us in the virtual green room. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharvette.
You're welcome. All right, listen, powerful. That's literally all I can say. Welcome if you just came in, if you came in during that session. We are in session 5, day 5. Session 5, day 5 of our virtual Women's History Month Summit. I am the lovely host, Sharvette Mitchell, marketing strategist and marketing coach. And while my platform is geared towards female entrepreneurs and leaders, women leaders, we brought together topics that were really about the whole woman. About the whole woman. So welcome to all those that are coming on in from all over. And so we're ready for our next guest. We're ready for our next speaker that is coming up. We do want to give a shout out for this session sponsor, Radiant Course Bundles. So you can get $5,000 worth of courses, templates for $99, a one-time fee of $99. There is the link right there. And it is also posted where you are watching. And one of my courses, Product and Course Academy, is within this bundle that I joined forces with 26 other coaches and consultants to put this together. So that is the sponsor for this segment. All right, coming up now, we have Natalie Bryan is coming up to the stage. Welcome, Natalie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well. We are so glad to have you, and you are closing us out. No pressure. You are the ending session. No pressure. Grace Under Fire. Grace Under Fire is your topic. But before we let you loose, tell our viewers and our summit participants a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my name is Natalie Bryan. I am a licensed clinical social worker, therapist at Restoring Harmony Counseling Consulting, which is my practice here in Augusta, Georgia. I'm originally from New York, so I love that so many people are joining from all over the world. And I have to give shout out to my New York roots. And I'm also the founder of Pearl, providing education and advocacy to rebuild lives, where we do psychoeducation in the community in regards to mental health, human trafficking, domestic violence, child sexual abuse, and intimate partner violence. So those are just some of the things that I am into.
All right. Well, thank you certainly for your work in this area. And we are going to bring you a full stage so that you can close us out. Grace Under Fire. No pressure. We know that what you have to say is meant for those that are watching and those that are in the replay. So I will exit stage left.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. And my topic is grace under fire. So when I looked up grace, some of the words that identified grace was poise, elegance, forgiveness, or blessing. And when I personally thought of the word grace in my mind, I think of a prima ballerina dancing across the stage. I think of a woman who is stylish walking across a room. I think of wild horses in the wilderness. It's just a power, it's a movement, it's a smoothness. And when I think of those things, that ease, that smoothness, and that poise that I stated before, we're speaking about grace. We're speaking about how smooth, the power in that. Um, and when I see grace in regards to, because I would like to focus in on women in business, on women with gifts and talents, which we all have our own gifts and talents, but I'm focusing more so on women in business. Um, I see women who have talent and skills and gifts that they're just graced with. It's something that they're in. It's just in them. You can, when you think about it, you can visualize it, you can taste it. You have the details in your mind about your business, about your baby, and it's all just there. It is effortless for you, and that grace that you have in that business, you can just see it, you can just feel it. Like my pastor would say, it is absolutely sweatless when you think about that grace in your business. So, like I said before, we all call um, to grace to do something, that you don't have to put much effort into, that you don't have to really produce hard to get that desired outcome. But how many know that sometimes when grace or our gifts or our talents meet business, we can face barriers? So that's really what I wanted to talk about when I say our grace under fire. That dream, that vision, that effortless thing that we're graced to be becomes heavy. Um, our titles, we start to wear multiple hats. We become multiple things to multiple people. We're dealing with finances, we're dealing with marketing, we're dealing with sales and customer service. We're dealing with all the things that we did not think we would have to face in bringing our vision to life. We think like, okay, this is something that I want to do, this is something that I feel, this is something that makes me feel powerful. And we are pressing through to manifest it, not recognizing, wow, the trials, the things that may come up that we really weren't prepared for. And while that grace gives us that smooth, that ease, man, it comes under fire when we start to hit those barriers in regards to our race, in regards to our race moving forward. So, let's talk about some of our gifts and our talent, that business owners, some people have a talent for music, some people have a talent for singing, sewing, some people haven't. I'm a therapist. I have a talent for counseling people. It seems like an effortless thing, but I can say for me in becoming a practitioner, that wasn't easy. That thing that came naturally to me to help people, to listen to their problems, to help them through their circumstances. That going to school to get certified, I had to go through how many years of school. I had to go through how many certifications. I had to go through how many internships hours and supervision and coaching and teaching. And so that grace to do it is easy, but then the work starts to begin. Then you go into practicing. What does that look like? How stressful can that be? And a lot of times when we go into our businesses or when we go into moving our talents and our gifts from a thing of hobby into a thing of business or career or passion, it definitely takes a turn. So we find ourselves struggling with, what does this look like? Why am I even doing this? And a lot of times we have to start by thinking about what is it that made me want to do this. We have to actually close our eyes, take a deep breath, and remember that big question: why? Why did I get into this? Why does it feed my soul? Why is it the thing that really motivates me? And that passion will reignite. My thing is, sometimes we get so lost along the way because we are fighting against the things that we were not prepared to deal with. So, our gifts, our talents, our businesses, our jobs, our families, those things that we love can all impact how we deal with life as our grace now becomes under fire, as we meet those barriers that are challenging us when we are in a hard place. So, some things that I want to talk about is I want to talk about how we can begin to manage the stressors that come with our talents, that comes with our businesses, that comes with our family, that comes with our thoughts. Because a lot of times we have to remember that we have to be mentally well, as well as physically well, as well as spiritually well, as well as emotionally well, as well as physically well, for a holistic view on us being a healthy, balanced person. So when our grace comes under fire, when our business comes under fire, some of the things that we start to deal with is stress. And four of the main things under the title of stress, number one for me is anxiety. A lot of times we don't know the outcome. Anxiety stems from the unknown. And when we don't know the outcome, we begin to panic and we begin to live in a space of fear. How does anxiety affect us physically? We start to shut down, we get into fight, flight, or freeze. So the things that we have focused on, those things that were just effortless, that was just not a problem to do, we no longer can see our feet in front of us. We no longer can participate in the things of it, or we're fighting to get away from it. So, some of the things that you can do to deal with some anxiousness or some anxiety in regards to um, fear of failure in your business could be doing some mindfulness exercise, taking a deep breath, you know, journaling out your feelings and emotions, having a confidant that you can speak to process these feelings and emotions, and start to work on self. Because overall, you want to learn to have a balance in all that you do. But sometimes being an entrepreneur, the business takes over your whole life. There is no balance. I was at a training last night, a leadership training, and Dr. Stacy said, "What would you do if I said to you, you had to put away your cell phone for 20 minutes?" And some women paused. You immediately saw the freeze. Some women said, "I can do it," but they checked their phone within 5 or 10 minutes. Some women were like, "I just can't do it," and had to check their phone regularly. But it just shows how much we give of self instead of having a balance of, okay, at this particular time, I'm going to shut off. Setting those boundaries that would be helpful to us to help us to achieve a balanced life and address the stressors that we face as business owners. Another thing is isolation. A lot of times, business owners are so focused on business that they isolate themselves and they work, 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 and overwork. They don't make time for social interaction. They don't make time to engage, even with family. They've started to limit that time, and they find themselves in this bubble and begin to feel underwhelmed and under pressure. Another is fear. the fear of failure, the fear of the business is not going to take off. That passion that I have, everything that I've put into it financially, that it's not going to move. Um, and it's just an insurmountable amount of panic. That's when you start seeing panic attacks. And if you don't address anxiety further along, it'll turn into depression. That people are not doing their activities of daily living, like taking a shower, eating healthily, addressing medical conditions because they're so focused on the pressures of this business. And burnout. Burnout is something that I talk about a lot because while you experience it, of course, insurmountably as a business owner, you can experience it in so many other aspects of your life. But burnout just comes to a phase where, I mean, there's just absolutely nothing left. And you can't pour from an empty cup. If there's nothing left, what do you have to give? And if no one is pouring into you because you've become isolative, you've become anxious, you're not engaging with anyone, then what happens to you? Where do you turn to? How do you deal with these feelings and emotions? So I wanted to talk about the things or the interventions or the skills to combat this. Because when we are dealing with stress, we are not just dealing with a mind thing, we're dealing with a physical thing. Stress has been found to impact our physical body, and it is directly correlated to heart conditions, to blood conditions. It's correlated to so many medical conditions that you can find in journals, from medical journals all the way to psychiatric journals, because it is so impactful on us. So, what are some things that we can do to help to manage stress? Because we want to definitely address how we can help our partners, our family, our loved ones, ourselves when it comes to dealing with anxiety, isolation, fear, and burnout. We have our insecurities. We want to be able to change our mindset so that we're able to utilize skills to help us. So, something as simple as creating a schedule can be really helpful in balancing out our day with work from home. Um, Prioritizing those things that need to get done right away, and putting aside those things. I remember reading a book, and this millionaire said he put 6 things on his list to get done, and he executes those 6 things, and then he transitions on to the next. Um, Plan your day out throughout the day. I know that a lot of people who were dealing with anxiety during the pandemic, when we had sessions, we created a schedule, even if they didn't have to get up to go to work, even if they didn't have to engage others. We created a schedule to help them have some semblance of security in a situation where there were so many unknowns. Um, Focus in on getting assistance. It's okay to delegate, and it's okay to get some support. That is key. A lot of times, because we don't want anyone touching our baby, we don't want anyone to probably have some insight to some of our vision and details. We are fearful about sharing what our vision is and asking for help to execute that vision. So you want to try to definitely have someone focus, have someone to assist you to focus on the goals that you've set for your business. Um, Definitely create a social network and people who will call you out and say, "Hey, you've been there long enough. You've stayed there so many hours." Someone that will say, "Okay, it's time for you to get out. Let's go to the river. Let's go take a ride on our bikes in the park. Let's look at some nature. Let's take some time for self." Also, you want to definitely interact some things, starting right from home. What does your diet look like? Are you getting enough water each day? Making sure that you are exercising and going for walks and taking time for self. One of the most pivotal things is sleep hygiene. A lot of people don't recognize how sleep impacts your mental health. What does your sleep hygiene look like? Are you getting enough sleep at night? You know, I For the most part, you want to be clear about yourself and your priorities and focus on the things that will help you to be the best balanced person that you can be. Not everything will focus in on the business. A lot of things that we may need to do may be self development and self learning skills like problem solving and time management, having some training on ability to cope with adversity, improving our personal relationships, definitely engaging and practicing in techniques that can be relaxing and helpful. Some of the things that I always talk about is mindfulness exercises, grounding. I believe we went to see Deepak Chopra, and his grounding technique is just taking off our shoes and walking on the grass each day. That connection to the earth and how it feels helps to settle our energy and helps us to be able to be of clearer mind and of clearer focus. Taking deep breaths, and having those real cleansing deep breaths. We breathe pretty shallowly. And in breathing that way, we're not taking in deep cleansing breaths that helps us to a state of relaxation. Definitely talking about um, journaling. And I know I mentioned journaling, but it is important because a lot of times people don't recognize that if you're journaling consistently, you're able to pick up patterns. You're able to see some things that you may not have recognized before. And if you identify a stressor, you're able to attack it and definitely get to the meat of a situation or put an intervention in there to help you if you become triggered or overwhelmed. So, knowing what your triggers are can be very helpful in helping you to identify how to deal with them. Something else that I find helpful is guided meditation. There's a group that I love to use on YouTube. They're called the Honest Guys. And I like them because they have meditations from 1 minute all the way up to 90 minutes. So it's helped my clients with sleep hygiene. It's helped my clients who have a very limited schedule. It's helped my clients um, who are focused in on creating consistency so they can set up a different schedule each day. It's also helped my clients who can't seem to commit because of the variety of tone, sounds, and meditations that are spoken. So, those are the things that I think have been very, very helpful in dealing with addressing stressors and stress management when it comes to a practice. So I wanted everyone to try this exercise, nothing really stressful, but I wanted you to close your eyes and I wanted you to think about your vision, think about the gift, think about the practice, the business, think about what it is that you want or are trying currently or is bringing to fruition. What does that exude in you? What are you feeling? What are the things that you're seeing? If you don't mind, you can put it in the chat. How does it make you feel to think about those dreams, to think about that vision? Um, what type of visualization do you see? How are you documenting? Is it on your vision board? If it is on your vision board, what does it look like? And how impactful or how engaged are you in with manifesting that dream or um, working towards that dream or actively doing that dream at this time? I'm just going to give a minute to see if there's any interaction. While we're waiting on that, what are some challenges that you have faced as women creating or inviting in while working on your vision, because sometimes we are our own worst enemy. So, learning about self and the things that we are supposed to be focused on will help us to be able to address what we may be missing. So, I didn't see any interaction to those questions. So, just some information about our services. We provide individual, couples, group, and family counseling at my practice, and we definitely help to deal with traumas that are dealing with sexual abuse, anxiety, life transitions, and also depression. So, if there are any questions or concerns moving forward, you're able to reach out to me at the website below. Thank you so much for your time.
So graciously delivered. Grace under fire. Thank you, Natalie. And I do see a comment here from Nicole on YouTube saying family life balance. And I'm
Hmm.
assuming that's what is she envisioning, and
Yes.
anything you would like to address, like to state around that.
Well, with family life balance, that can listen. Family is always a priority. Remember, that is your legacy. That is the thing that you are putting your investment in for the best outcome. So
Yeah.
it's how you prioritize your time with your family, with your business, with your social interaction, and just creating a good balance for yourself. What's important to you, and prioritize that. Making sure that you do practice some self care and take some time for self, that is important. Nicole says she's a mom of four. I know. So being a mom of four can be really tough. So definitely making sure, like, hey, sometimes, Dad, I need you to take over. Or sometimes, friend, could you come grab these kids for me for a few minutes? I know Nicole has a pretty heavy network of people, but it is totally on us to set the
Hmm.
boundaries, totally on us to prioritize ourselves, totally on us to work on self to create this better work life balance. Some of the things that we need to do is to just jump in and say, okay, I want to see what I want to manifest come to fruition. How do
Hmm.
I get out of my own way? How do I put out these fires around my dream and vision? And I'm hopeful that some of the things that I said are helpful.
Ah, great, great, great. Brenda on Facebook is saying regarding grace, are we graced in a particular area for life, or does grace in that area end after a period of time? Interesting question.
I think that is something that is individual. I think that we can be graced for something, but it's our mindset that is like, maybe I'm not so graced for that, and we get out of our way, but then it pops back up later and was like, man, that really was my thing, and I didn't realize it at the time, or maybe I wasn't self empowered enough to recognize like that's my gift, that's my talent, and why didn't I sit in that for a little while? Why didn't I,
Mm.
really dive in? And I think a lot of times it's out of fear. We don't believe in ourselves or even believe that we were graced by God to have that.
Yeah.
So sometimes, it is, we may not feel good enough that we aren't worthy, but we are worthy of that and so much more.
Ah, and so much more. Natalie Bryan, so grace is the only so graciously delivered, and what just connected while you were in your session. The first session opened up with Erica Brooks, who was a therapist, and our closing session, you as a therapist. So that happened that way, and I don't think anything happens by happenstance. And thank you for recentering us and giving us some tools. I want to bring Kathy back to the stage if she's available. I want to bring Kathy back onto the stage if she is available in the green room. I'm not seeing her face, but I wanted to bring her back to the stage. But certainly, this has been amazing. In the comments, show us some love. In the comments, show us some interactions. Kathy, I'm bringing her back up on the stage. Both ladies, phenomenal. Closing out session 5, day 5 of the Women's History Month Summit. I mean, I know this is a summit. This is a session that we're going to have to hear. We're going to need to listen because both of you are so profound. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Final words, ending for words. Kathy, final words you would have to share, and then also Natalie.
Okay, I guess my final words would be that if you have a background, a family background of trauma, you can heal, you can thrive, you can be dynamic.
Wonderful, wonderful. Natalie, final words from you.
I was going to say thank you guys for having grace with me. I was so nervous tonight, but I always talk to my clients about how we have to have grace with ourselves. And, I know someone posted that God's grace is sufficient, but you know what? God is always ever forgiving of us, but
Yeah.
we are not so for ourselves.
Exactly.
So I'm thankful that you guys extended that courtesy, and thank you so much.
Ah, wonderful, wonderful. And shout out to my pastor, Bishop Joel Vincent Brown. He said, "What I got was powerful." Bless, 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 bless. All right, ladies. Thank you again for being the closing speakers for the Women's History Month Summit. I'll let you hang out in the virtual green room. My sister, my biological sister, is saying, "You did wonderful. You did wonderful, Deborah." All right. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. All right. So, this is the end. Like, listen, I can give the official benediction to the Women's History Month Summit. If you miss any, guess what? You can binge watch. The easiest way to do that is to jump over to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Sharvette. There's a complete playlist. You can look at session 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you need to hear them again, make sure you hit subscribe, and so that you also hit the notify button so that we can let you know when we're posting more videos. We are so grateful for those of you that have been here the entire summit. Several of you have been here the entire summit. Again, the number 5s, those that have been here the entire summit, just throw up a number 5 in the comments wherever you're watching. Number 5, or if you caught all the replays up to now, you're like, I got caught up before today, put a 5 in the comments. We appreciate you. One final word from sponsors from tonight, and I'll be back to close us all the way out. All right. You might have 99 problems, but access to courses to uplevel your business ain't one. Let me introduce Radiant Course Bundles. Until March 17th, I've joined forces with 26 other coaches and consultants, and I'm offering you the best deal I'll be offering all year long. Lifetime access to 27 business-specific e-courses, tools, templates, and all for $99. Listen, the total value is over $5,000. You want to get in on this deal, grab it before it ends. All right, and I'll have that link in the comments wherever you're hanging out. One of my courses is in there that is it's an $800 value. So $99, go grab it. Listen, shout out to my mom. All 5 days she's been holding it down. And my sister Kim, all 5 days over on YouTube. Thank you, Rita. She's putting the 5 up. Thank you, Paula, for the claps. Great summit. Deborah, thank you. 4 of the 5 days. Thank you, Dr. Amy, for being here. Yeah, I put my convocation suit on. Some of y'all will get that. Later. Lisa Williams in my girl group hanging out here with us. Again, thank you. We honor the time that you took to be here, even if it was just one session, even if it was just 15 minutes. I know that there was something that was said that will help shift and move and jolt you with your business, with whatever area of leadership, even on your career and on your job. All of this is important. And so we thank you so much for being a part of this. And it's a wrap. I'm Sharvette Mitchell. You can find out more about me at sharvettemitchell.com, marketing strategist and marketing coach. And I'm focused on your visibility, your marketing, and your branding. And this officially concludes the 2022 Women's History Month Summit. It has been our honor and grace to be here with you. Thank you.